So 2017, we're here to celebrate the winners and the big events that we had last year. Apologies for taking so long to get to this point here in 2018. It was not my intention, but I was a little burned out at the end of the last year. So it was a fun year. It was a challenging year, but I'm very ready to hand over the baton to Carol as the incoming vice commander. And on that note, I would encourage all of you to consider volunteering some of your time throughout the year to help Carol, because as you can well imagine, this is a position that really requires a lot of support from the members of the club. She can't do it on her own by herself, so the degree that you can help her out, I know she'll appreciate that, as will the rest of the board that's helping run things behind the scenes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So if you haven't had a chance to peruse the trophy tables, we have a few awards to give out tonight. We have Fleet Champion Awards. We have awards for the Triple Crown event series from last year. For those of you not familiar with the Triple Crown, we have the first race of the season is the Governor's Cup. I'm standing right in front of the trophy here. This is a perpetual trophy. So the big trophies that you see, Governor's Cup, Firecracker, and Commodore's Cup, all live in our perpetual trophy case. And the winners' names are now on the plaques on the base of each of the trophies. And then what we've also done is for the first class winners, we made individual trophies which they can bring home. So their name will live on into perpetuity in the trophy case, and then they'll have something they can put on their mantle or their office desk going forward. So the Governor's Cup is the event that we have during commissioning, which is coming up here in 2 weeks. So what I'd like to do at this point is hand the microphone over to Carol, and so she can say a few words about this year's commissioning.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Carol.
Welcome. Hi. So commissioning is April 7th and 8th. So it's going to be beautiful. We're going to do similar to what we did last year. We'll certainly have great racing. And the Thistle Fleet is the chair fleet taking on the commissioning. So David Reddaway is in charge of the racing and getting all that together. And then, of course, we'll have the ceremony, happy hour, and those activities starting 5 or 5:30 Saturday, and then a beautiful dinner and band afterwards. So y'all come. Thanks.
Thanks, Carol. All right. Definitely an event not to be missed on the 2018 calendar. Okay, so for the 2017 Governor's Cup, just to remind everybody how this format worked, or continues to work, is we have the Triple Crown Series. So we divide the entire club up into what I had was 3 fleets. I had a Portsmouth fleet, a multi-hull fleet, and a perf or auxiliary fleet, okay? And everybody in those fleets or classes all raced together, same start, and was scored collectively within that group. And then we also had class winners if we happen to have enough, okay? But the emphasis was really on those 3 fleets, Portsmouth, multi-hull, and perf or auxiliary. And then if you happen to win first place in all 3, Governor's Cup, Firecracker, Commodore's Cup, you won the Triple Crown, okay? So what we've done is we've actually, we did hand out trophies at the end of each of the regattas last year, but I still wanted to recognize the ones who won each of those different groups. So for Governor's Cup, the winner for the Portsmouth fleet was Kurt Stadil. Multi-hull was Jeff Myers, and auxiliary perf was Gary Umberger. So Gary, come on up.
Thank you very much.
There you are, sir. Thank you.
Here's your box.
Here's your box.
Speech. Thank you.
All right, Firecracker. Firecracker was held in July, and if my memory is correct, this year, or I should say in 2017, we actually had wind, which was unbelievable. That was great. So First place, Portsmouth, Robert Burke.
Thanks, Robert.
Multi-hull, John Adams. John here. And auxiliary, Gary Umberger. And then the last event in the Triple Crown was, or is, the Commodore's Cup. And in 2017, Portsmouth winner was Pam Burke. Auxiliary winner, Brent McKenzie. And I intentionally changed the order on this one because I have to do the Proud Papa thing. The winner of the multi-hull fleet was Damian Beisner, my son. All right, so let's see here. Let's hand out a couple of the Fleet Champion Awards. All right. I have in my hand the Fleet Champion Award for the CR 914 fleet. Those of you not familiar with this fleet, this is the, I hope I don't offend anyone, it's the radio control fleet. Just a small tidbit of information trivia here. This is the most active fleet in the club. From what I understand, these guys race like literally every weekend of the year, every Friday. So the 2017 winner of the CR 914 fleet was Chuck Weaver, who's not here, he's down in Florida. What I'd like to do at this point in time is I'd like to turn the microphone over to Jeff Freeman. Jeff he's got a new thing going on for the fleet that he'd like to talk to the club about. Jeff?
As Chris said,
You don't?
all right. As Chris said, 914 is the most active fleet, but we have 3 or 4 guys that win every week. You know, they're always the fastest boats. And then we have the rest of us. You know, so the rest of us said we'll be the Corinthian fleet, and those guys will be the pros. And so you really can't define it. It's sort of like pornography. You know when you see it. Obviously, he knows it pretty well. So the rest of us said, well, we really need to recognize those guys that show up every week, and they go from like 14th place to 11th to 10th till 2nd and 3rd, and start to give what we call the pros a hard time. So what we decided to do, I have that back, please. Some of us got together and we decided to have a perpetual trophy for the Corinthian fleet. Oh, yeah. It's bigger than theirs! So instead of putting it in our professional trophy case, we decided to have it like the Stanley Cup. They can take it home with them, keep it for a year, we'll monogram their name on there, and then they have to bring it back, or they die, and for the next year. This thing starts, April, we're doing official scoring from April on. So, you have a question, Pat?
No.
You raised your hand, does that mean you want it? Or? Yeah, we do have certain guys who, if they're on one end of the line, you want to make sure you're on the other. But I wasn't going to vandalize it, but it's a lot of fun. We do 12 races in 2 hours, so if you have a bad start and you screw up, you only suffer for 10 minutes. And then you can go back and do it again. We only count the 10 best races. It's a lot of fun, and I would say that anybody here that can be there on Fridays, show up. We usually got a couple of extra boats. We did have one boat sink, but that's been recovered now, so that's good.
Do you have safety duty?
What?
Do people have safety duty?
No. We don't even have people watching the line when you're over early. You're on your honor to go back. There's some guys that aren't real honorable.
Don't you stand next to him on the dock and you hit the guy that's not honorable?
That's a good idea, but unfortunately, no, we stand with the junior thing.
Get away with the dock rule.
Oh, okay, I'm worried about it.
We got
Anybody in the water.
Yeah, put you in the water, that's good.
We got 4 marks, and we used to make 2 of the marks like gates, but we had too many collisions, so we can't do that. So you have to go around the whole box. So anyway, that's it.
All right. Jeff, thanks for that. Carol, put down Jeff as your possible MC for future events.
I will.
Great comedic timing here, Jeff. All right. So let's see here. What do we have next? All right. Gary, are your legs tired yet? Well, come on up here, Gary. Gary was the auxiliary fleet champion for 2017. Gary,
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Down here.
now, Gary's not done yet. He just doesn't know it yet. We'll get him back up here a little later. All right. Flying Scott, fleet champion for 2017, Scott Adams. Scott's not here. All right, next, J24 fleet champion. Mark, are you paying attention? Mark Turner.
I'd like to thank my crew. They helped me greatly.
Mark, since you're standing here, why don't you stay up here for a second? So Mark asked me if he could have another couple of minutes with the club tonight to talk about King Sims and the perpetual trophy. Wow, I don't know what I keep doing that. It's like a firecracker. For those of you who were not here for the Halloween regatta, I want to direct your attention to my left in the display case there between the windows. You see the nice sailboat? That was a model that was actually built on commission by King. It was built for King Sims by Sharpton. King has had that model in his collection for how long now?
It was built
43 years.
43 years.
43 years.
75.
King has asked that he donated the model back to the club recently. So Buddy went down, picked it up, drove it back up here, and did some work to restore it back to its original shape. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to use that as our perpetual trophy for the Triple Crown. So going forward, if we have a Triple Crown winner in subsequent years, their name will be actually added to a plaque as part of that trophy. So that's now the penultimate trophy for the club. So I'd like to give both Mark and Buddy an opportunity just to say a few words. Buddy about the model and Mark about King.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, guys. King Sims was a dear family friend to us. Growing up here, he was my dad's best friend. Tom is up there. He was several years later. He's a great guy. His father and him and his dad built their very first family boat in 1940 together, and they used it at Lake Allatoona and St. Simon's. King's dad became a founding member of AYC, so it's funny how clubs are built. King was exposed to one design sailing and Y flyers around 1954. He went to school at Georgia Tech and was in the Navy and served on a destroyer in the Navy. Went to the Middle East. When he got back, he came home to a new lake, Lake Lanier, and found LLSC in the early 1960s. He joined the club and got a Rhodes 19. And it's funny, he started a smaller boat, and then he graduated after kids and everything to a Irwin 30, which is one of the first boats here in the club. And my dad started sailing with him, and John Smith sailed with him, and this is a quote from King. He said that we had a wonderful time sailing against Jack Smith and Bill Tarvin. The 30 became an Irwin 32 later, and the Moss Merkel Morgan came along with Ray Burke's first auxiliary. Lots of fun racing and great friends and people. And those are King's words. This is old stuff. He later bought a Tartan 30, and my dad made fun of him because it was pea green. And they won their share of races, including the Clean Sweep Award. And you can see at the bottom of the mast, or at the top of the mast here, on his portrait, there's a groom. Because they put in his portrait for the Clean Sweep. So he was the first one to win all these trophies. And that's why this is very appropriate that we use this. He went from here to the ocean. He bought a Swan 44, which proudly bore Flowery Branch as her hailing port. Ray Burke, some of his boys, Jim Moss and Linda and Joe Merkel joined me ocean racing when they were available, and Tom Turner. I got to know racing against some wonderful sailors during that time, including Ted Hood and Ted Turner. Ted Turner's also a member of our club. At some point, LLSC membership was done, and I helped bring him back as an honorary member. And now, during the much-loved sailing, I had somehow become enamored with the Ranger, which you're going to talk about, which is this boat, that Commodore Vanderbilt's magnificent J-boat that defended the America's Cup in 1937. He said, my then wife had LLSC member Buddy Sharpton build a model that was given to me as a surprise birthday present in 1975. The model was lovingly displayed and enjoyed in Atlanta and later in St. Simon's Island until recently downsizing. I wanted to share it with those in the place where the love began, which is here at Lake Lanier Sailing Club. He's a dear friend, and he made sailing the ocean available to a lot of kids. Right, Brent went, a lot of the Burke boys, I went. Sailing we would have never done if it weren't for him. So, anyway, I want to let Buddy talk about this model he built.
Go to big boats, the same old size, on the same model. Anybody who knows boats knows as they get longer, the mast gets shorter proportionately. Now, this thing, the beast on this was trying to keep the mast up. And Vanderbilt actually named all the boats, 30, 35, and 37. He was on the syndicate. 37, nobody had any money, so he actually paid for this boat himself. But they're all named after U.S. naval ships, either a cutter, a Coast Guard cutter, or two of them in the Navy. and Ranger was the last. And that's, if you know anything about John Paul Jones, supposedly the spiritual father of the Navy, he was older than other people. He went to sea as a merchant seaman, back and forth between England and America. And becomes a revolution, he decides to become part of it. He's older, but he's not a naval officer. He's a merchant marine officer. So they're not going to give him. He's getting a smaller ship than people who are younger and less experienced. He was really good. And he said he had no interest in anything but a fast ship because he's going to take it in harm's way. And that's Ranger. And they gave him this little boat, and he took the war overseas, all the way to England. And the first time anybody invaded England in 167 years was him. Trying to get, yeah, this guy was really gutsy. But anyway, this boat has parts on it from all three. You just built a new one each year, but when this thing was built, it's 332,000 pounds, of which just under 250,000 of it was nothing but lead. The mast was the tricky part, but it was only built to do that. It's a crew of 24 people. And then what made this unusual is in 30, that was the very, very first time that America's Cup racing was boat for boat. Up to then, it was handicap and people rigging and, you know, different stuff, and it never was happy. But this thing was boat for boat, boat for boat. And that's the first time that ever happened. And in this series, it's the first time when it was all, you know, you had 24, 22 people pull the ropes. There's not one motor in that. It's all geared. But everybody that did it, helmsman, everybody that was a tactician, people in the back and the afterguard were all amateurs, and that was never the case before either. So this little guy, it raced 39 times. It got 36 firsts. Cut the water, smart ball. And this thing is cut up for scrap. And I don't know how many bullets you get out of 250,000 pounds of lead, but the English kept theirs. And they came back, and what's her name, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
She got the boat that this raced against, Enterprise. And what's interesting is the back end of this boat, originally, in all the drawings, butt ended was flat, like a J. You know why the J-boats took this, because this is the beast. It was so ugly, he made them change it to something pretty. Well, if you go to see the Enterprise now, I mean, not the Enterprise, the, what's it? I gotta get the name of it. Shamrock. Shamrock was the first one, and that was Sopwith. I'll get to it. But anyway, she got that piece of scrap, and with the name on it, it is in the lock. It's inside the salon of that boat, because that's all they ever saw of that boat was the rear end.
Straight from the builder. So anyway, thank you guys.
I'm going to try Jeff's lead and do this without the mic so we can have the firecrackers go away. All right, so let's see here. I have 2 trophies to hand out for Fleet Champion for Multi-Hull. Jacob Kielman and Todd Wilson. Those were presented to me by Bailey White, so congratulations to both of them. I know that they did some distance racing.
Florida 300 this year and sank right off the coast of the Cape Canaveral. We have the distinction of not being thrown in jail for setting foot on the Cape Canaveral. And assisted by the Coast Guard and the Army down there. I've actually tried to make landfall there, and it was not a pretty sight. It involved caliber guns and lots of guys running around with helmets on. They have the distinction of actually setting foot on the ground there.
Krantz for president.
There you go.
The 2017 Portsmouth Fleet Champion, Paul Stofert. and the 2017 Thistle Fleet champion, Brian Anderson. So those are all the fleet champions for 2017. So now we get into some of the special awards. For those of you who did not attend the annual award, or excuse me, the annual meeting back in November, we did already hand out the special recognition award. Quick show of hands, who's been on the new website? Okay, for those of you who've been on the new website, who thinks an improvement over the old website? So there was a lot of time and effort that went into making that transition happen. One of the people that was really key to that was Amy Larkin. So we recognize her efforts for doing that at the end. And for those of you not familiar, there is a special recognition plaque that's inside the perpetual trophy case, and her name is now on that. All right. The next award that we want to do is the Vice Commodore's Award. Let me read from the bylaws about the Vice Commodore's Award. To a club member or one of a member's family who contributes his or her time and effort to assist the racing sailor in any capacity, such as race committee, protest committee, or other related responsibility throughout the year in such a manner as to be truly outstanding. I'd like Joanne Estes to come up here, please. So, there's not a lot I can say that you don't already know. Joanne does a lot for this club. Yep. So, Joanne, thank you so much. Wednesday night encore series, Thursday night Portsmouth, opening the gate, unlocking the gate, everything you can think of. Joanne has just been outstanding for years. Anchor committee, I mean, you name it, she's done it. I know Dawn has relied on Joanne extensively for various things, so Joanne, you've been hugely helpful.
But let me also say, thank y'all for letting me play. I don't sail, I'm horrible on the boat. I've got 3 feet of legs that get tangled up in every line, every possibility, and I get grumpy when you don't feed me. If you're not volunteering, it is rewarding. Please do it. We need the support. Carol's going to be doing a great job this year, but she needs people to stand behind her and in front of her and beside her. And guys, it's fun. And on top of that, we get to drink early. So come join us. Thanks again.
All right, this big beast of a trophy is for Crewman of the Year. A lot of names on this trophy. You guys, it'll be in the trophy case. You can check that out later. So there was some discussion among the flag officers from 2017 about who this award should go to. And there was nobody that just kind of jumped out front. So I threw a name in the ring, and all the flag officers were like, 2 thumbs up. That's a great nomination. Let's go with that. So Reggae, 4th place. Firecracker, 3rd. Small boat long distance, 2nd. Commodore's Cup, 1st. Now, I say all of that, and I'm going to throw a couple of kickers in. He was 11 years old, and he's my son. In 2016, we bought a high-performance catamaran, an F-16, and Damien drives and I pull all the lines.
Yep.
But he did a really great job last year. He had a ton of fun. It was great being his crew, and we're looking forward to doing great stuff. And he celebrated a birthday yesterday, so now he's 12. So I have one more award to hand out tonight. It's really not really much of an award, it's more of a recognition for time served to this club. When I joined the board 2 years ago, I was brought on as secretary, and I had the honor of working with this person in the capacity as a flag officer. So if you look around the club right now, look up. Think about the bathrooms. Think about all the stuff that happened last year. I told Gary here recently that, you know, I did a 180 when I got to work with him and serve with him on the board. I didn't know him all that well. He was a little standoffish to get to know kind of one-on-one.
Gary?
Now that he and I have had a chance to work together on the board, I have a totally new respect for Gary and all that he brings to LSC. Gary, this club is awesome thanks to you and people like you. And we're happy to present you with this.
I just want to take a minute, okay, at this point. It's interesting, if you ever become Commodore or you get involved in one of these offices, it's interesting because everybody's a volunteer, which isn't, you aren't paying them to work for you, okay? You're just trying to get stuff done and make people happy doing it and wanting to do it. I know what Joanne, Joanne does an amazing amount of work, and there's key critical people that help us all accomplish this. And I want to thank all those on the board, all the flag officers, all the new membership chair people, everybody that volunteered to make last year work. That made my life happen, and it all worked out great. So thank you so much. Thank you for the recognition, and I'll be around for a while. If I can help, let me know. Appreciate it.
One thing Jackie and I have noticed since we've been here is that Lake Lanier Sailing Club is steeped in tradition. And we really appreciate the welcoming that we've had since we were in New Jersey for 25 years and came back, and the first thing we did was join the Lake Lanier Sailing Club. We were interviewed on the road. Anyway, forget all that. We've got a new trophy. We made a new trophy, and it all became apparent when we were on the road to Sandusky, Ohio for the NACS this year. And we realized when we blew a trailer tire and wrapped our fender that we needed to make an award, and that was for the Traveler. So Flying Scott Fleet 111 made an award, and it's called the Fleet 111 Traveler Award. This is basically an award for the Flying Scott skipper and crew who travel the most.
Amen, church.
And we got that all for Bill and Glenn. Come on up.
What do you say? Thank you. Straighten it out.
The thing's still good. You can straighten that out.
Bill, in future, let's try to cut it down a little bit. That was a little too long. Any other awards anybody wants to hand out? Guys, thanks again. Hope you had a great night. Looking forward to a great 2018, lots of racing. The one thing I want to mention to you, just as a something to keep in the back of your mind, there's another award we did not hand out tonight, which was the Sportsmanship Award, to a club member or one of a member Stanley who exemplifies the traditional values of fair play and concern for fellow competitors. Members of the club may nominate the sailor for this award by submitting to the Board of Governors before October 1st of each year the recognition with full descriptive justification. I'd like everyone to be thinking about that through 2018, and if you have an example, somebody you'd like to nominate, then please bring that to the attention of the board or to Carol or myself so that we can hopefully have someone receive that award at the end of this year. With that, I wish you a nice evening.